Never thought I'd be living in a stolen police vehicle, but here we are. Day 17 or maybe 18. I've lost count somewhere between Tuesday and whenever the hell today is. The SWAT truck sits in what used to be a parking garage off Meridian Street, 3rd floor, backed into a corner where I can see both ramps. The engine's off. Has been for 3 days now. I'm rationing the fuel like it's liquid gold because once this beast stops running, I'm done. Let me back up. My name is Thaddeus Crane, and I'm a locksmith. Was a locksmith. The irony isn't lost on me that I spent 15 years getting people into places they'd locked themselves out of, and now I'm locked inside this 6-ton fortress on wheels, too terrified to step outside for more than 5 minutes at a time. It started on a Thursday. I remember because Thursdays I always did the account books for my shop, Crane and Key, over on Sullivan Avenue. Small operation, just me and my apprentice Dinah, who called in sick that morning. She actually texted me, "Feel like death, boss. Staying home." The last text I ever got from her. I wonder if she made it. I wonder if anyone made it. The news broke around 10 a.m. I had the radio on, classic rock station, when they interrupted with an emergency broadcast. Aggressive flu-like illness spreading in the downtown hospital. People exhibiting extreme violence. Biting. The word they kept using was biting. Stay indoors, avoid contact. The usual bureaucratic calm before the storm nonsense. By noon, the screaming started outside. Real screaming, the kind that hits a pitch human voices shouldn't reach. I locked my shop door, pulled the security gate down, watched through the window as people ran past, then watched as other people, wrong people, moving wrong, chased them down. I've seen a lot in this city. Grew up in the rough part of Bridgeton, watched my neighborhood decline, saw things I'd rather forget. But nothing prepared me for watching Mrs. Kowalski from the nail salon rip out Tom Rivera's throat with her teeth. She'd done my girlfriend's nails 2 weeks before, had pictures of her grandkids on her station. I grabbed my go bag from the back office, something I'd kept since the riots 5 years ago. Water bottles, energy bars, first aid kit, flashlight, portable radio. Threw in my tools because tools are worth more than gold in situations like this. My dad taught me that. He was a Marine, survived 2 tours in the Gulf, always said, "Thad, a man with skills and tools can survive anything." Wish he was here. He'd know what to do. But he passed 3 years ago, and Mom followed 6 months later. Sometimes I think they got out at the right time. I stayed in the shop for 2 days. The power went out on day 1 around 8 p.m. The water stopped running 6 hours after that. I watched from my window as the city tore itself apart. Fires bloomed across the skyline like red flowers. Gunshots popped constantly, firecrackers that never stopped. The screaming never stopped either, just changed pitches as different voices took over. On the second day, I saw the SWAT team. They came rolling down Sullivan in 2 Bearcats. Those big armored personnel carriers that looked like tanks had a baby with a bus. They were doing an evacuation, pulling survivors into the vehicles. I almost ran out. Almost. But something made me wait, watching from behind my security gate. Good thing I did. The infected came out of everywhere, a flood of them, drawn by the noise, the movement. I watched the SWAT team get overwhelmed in minutes. One Bearcat made it out, burning rubber as it fled west. The other one stalled right there in the intersection, 50 feet from my shop. The officers inside fought. I could hear the gunfire, see the muzzle flashes through the gun ports. They killed dozens, maybe hundreds. But the infected don't care about losses. They just keep coming, throwing themselves at the vehicle, climbing over their own dead. Eventually, the shooting stopped. The infected surrounded the Bearcat, pounding on it, rocking it, but they couldn't get in. Those things are built like bank vaults. After a few hours, the infected lost interest and wandered off, following some sound or movement I couldn't detect. That's when I made my decision. The Bearcat sat there for a full day, silent, unmoving. I watched it constantly, waiting to see if anyone emerged. No one did, and I realized that vehicle was my ticket out, my survival. Getting to it was the hardest thing I've ever done. I'm not a brave man. I fixed locks, cut keys, installed deadbolts. The most dangerous part of my day used to be driving in traffic, but I also knew staying in my shop meant dying slowly of thirst and starvation, or worse, dying when they eventually broke through the windows. I waited until dusk on the third day, made myself eat 2 energy bars and drink a full bottle of water, forcing down nutrition I'd need. Packed everything I could carry into my hiking backpack. Grabbed the tire iron from my truck out back, the only weapon I had besides a utility knife. The plan was simple. Sprint the 50 feet to the Bearcat, pray the doors weren't locked from inside, get in, and hope the keys were still in the ignition. I counted down from 10, 9, 8. My hands were shaking so bad I almost couldn't lift the security gate. 7, 6, 5. Deep breath, Thaddeus. 4, 3. This is insane. 2. Dad's voice in my head. Fear is healthy, son. Terror is deadly. Control one, survive the other. 1. I ran. God, I ran faster than I've ever run in my life. My legs felt like they weren't even touching the ground. The backpack slammed against my spine with each step. The evening air hit my face, carrying the smell of smoke and something sweet and rotten that I've since learned is the smell of death on a massive scale. 25 feet. An infected stumbled out from behind a burned-out car. I dodged left, didn't even slow down. 20 feet. Another one, this one faster, reaching for me. I swung the tire iron without thinking, felt it connect with skull bone. 15 feet. The Bearcat's rear door was right there, dark blue paint splattered with dried blood. 10 feet. Something grabbed my backpack. I twisted, jerked forward, felt the straps digging into my shoulders. 5 feet. My hand hit the door handle. Please be unlocked. Please be unlocked. Please. It opened. I fell inside, dragged my backpack in with me, and slammed the door so hard the whole vehicle shook. Hands immediately started pounding on the outside. Faces pressed against the small windows, distorted by the thick ballistic glass. Dead eyes that somehow still hunted, mouths open, teeth cracked and bloody. I scrambled toward the front, climbing over tactical gear and spent shell casings. The cab had 2 seats, both empty. Blood on the driver's side, a lot of it, but no bodies. They must have evacuated somehow or been dragged out. But the keys, blessed miracle, the keys were in the ignition. I turned them. The engine roared to life, that beautiful diesel rumble that meant power, meant mobility, meant survival. The fuel gauge showed 3/4 full. The infected outside went into a frenzy at the sound, attacking the vehicle with renewed intensity. I'd never driven anything like this before. The biggest vehicle I'd ever operated was my F-150, and that was a tricycle compared to this monster. The gear shift was industrial, truck style. I found drive, released the brake, and pressed the accelerator. Nothing happened. The vehicle didn't move. The infected kept pounding. I pressed harder, heard the engine rev, but we weren't going anywhere. That's when I saw the wheel locks engaged, big metal boots on the front tires that the SWAT team must have deployed when they stopped. I sat there for 10 seconds, maybe 20, my mind completely blank with panic. Then, my training kicked in. Not combat training, locksmith training. Locks are just mechanisms. Every lock has a key, a bypass, a weakness. I needed to get those boots off the tires, which meant going outside. I searched the vehicle, found tactical vests, helmets, a medical kit, MREs, military meals that would last forever. Found weapons too, a shotgun with maybe 20 shells, 2 pistols with partial magazines, a rifle with no ammunition at all. Found bolt cutters in a storage compartment under the bench seat. Bolt cutters. Not ideal, but they might work on the wheel lock mechanisms. I'd installed similar locks for the city parking authority 3 years ago. I knew their weakness. The locking pin was hardened steel, but the housing was just aluminum. Cut through the housing, the pin falls out, boot comes off. I put on one of the tactical vests, found it was Kevlar, heavy but reassuring, strapped on a helmet. Took the bolt cutters and one of the pistols, a Glock 22. The magazine showed 8 rounds. I chambered 1. 9 shots total. Probably not enough, but better than the tire iron. The rear door had a small gun port, a sliding panel that opened to allow shooting from inside. I opened it, looked out, counted the infected immediately visible. 14. More shuffling in the distance, drawn by the engine noise. I couldn't see the front tires from this angle, but I knew they were there, 10 feet forward from where I stood. I planned it out. Open the door, sprint to the front driver's side, cut the wheel lock, sprint to the passenger side, cut that lock, get back inside. 20 seconds if everything went perfect, 30 if it didn't. A lifetime if they caught me. The helmet felt tight on my head, making my breathing echo in my ears. I turned off the engine. Didn't want to waste fuel, and the sudden silence might confuse them for a few seconds. Gripped the bolt cutters in my left hand, pistol in my right. Put my hand on the door release. Dad's voice again. "You can do this, Dad. Just another job. Just another lock." I opened the door, and everything became noise and motion and adrenaline. The infected turned toward me instantly, no hesitation, pure predatory focus. I went left, toward the driver's side, because they were clustered more heavily on the right, and I needed every second. The wheel lock was industrial yellow, visible even in the dying light. I dropped to my knees, positioned the bolt cutters on the housing. The infected were coming, fast, faster than I'd thought possible. Squeezed the handles. The aluminum bent but didn't break. Squeezed harder, putting my whole body into it. Metal fatigue, sheer stress, physics I'd learned in trade school. Pop. The housing cracked, the pin fell out. The boot dropped away from the tire. No time to celebrate. I sprinted around the front of the Bearcat, seeing my reflection in the windshield for just a moment, wild-eyed, terrified. The passenger side wheel lock waited. The infected were closer now, reaching for me. I could smell them, that sweet, rotten stench mixed with something chemical, like ammonia or decay. Dropped to my knees again, positioned the cutters. An infected woman in a business suit, one arm missing, lunged at me from the right. I swung the pistol up and fired without aiming. The shot went wide, but the sound made her stumble back, disoriented. Bolt cutters on the housing. Squeeze. My arms were screaming. My muscles turned to water from fear and exertion. Squeeze harder. The metal resisted. Then, pop. I ran. Didn't even pick up the boot. Just left it there and ran for the rear door. Hands grabbed at me. Fingers catching the tactical vest, the helmet strap. I twisted, pulled free, dove through the door, and slammed it behind me. Something got caught in the door, a hand gray and swollen. I slammed it again, and the hand fell away, severed at the wrist, landing on the floor of the vehicle. I kicked it away with a yell, pure revulsion, then scrambled to the driver's seat. Keys in the ignition, turn. The engine roared, gear shift to drive, accelerator down. The Bearcat lurched forward, and I felt the sickening bump, bump, bump as we rolled over bodies, over the infected who'd thrown themselves in front of the vehicle. I didn't look back, just drove, navigating by instinct through streets I'd known my whole life, but which now seemed alien, apocalyptic. Buildings burned, bodies littered the sidewalks, abandoned cars blocked intersections. I pushed the Bearcat through all of it, using the vehicle's mass like a battering ram, shoving obstacles aside. I drove until I found somewhere defensible. The parking garage on Meridian was perfect, elevated, concrete ramps that could be blocked, limited access points. I took the Bearcat up to the 3rd floor, backed it into a corner where I could see anyone coming up either ramp. That was 17 days ago, maybe 18. The calendar doesn't matter much anymore. The Bearcat has become my entire world. It's 30 feet long, 8 feet wide, and 8 feet high. Armored hull, gun ports on all sides, a roof hatch I haven't dared open. The interior smells like sweat, gun oil, and the strawberry air freshener someone had hanging from the rearview mirror before the world ended. I've tried to air it out, but opening the doors means risk, and I've learned to live with the smell. The back compartment has bench seats running along both walls, metal grating on the floor, storage compartments everywhere. The SWAT team had loaded it for a deployment, which means I inherited their supplies. I found 14 MREs in various flavors. I've eaten 5. The rest sit in a plastic bin, organized by calorie count. Beef stew is the best. Vegetarian pasta is somehow worse than starvation. 6-gallon jugs of water, 1 empty, 5 full. I've been drinking about 1/3 of a gallon per day, which means I have 45 days of water left. Maybe. Dehydration is how most people die in survival situations. Not the infected, not violence, simple lack of water. The medical kit has been invaluable. Gauze, antibiotics, painkillers, antibiotic ointment. A suture kit I hope I never have to use. I've already gone through half the painkillers just managing the constant tension headaches from stress and poor sleep. Tools, the bolt cutters I used on the wheel locks, a crowbar, a multi-tool, zip ties, duct tape, road flares, and a hand crank emergency radio that only picks up static now. Emergency blankets, glow sticks, batteries. Practical gear that the SWAT team had loaded for urban operations. Weapons. The shotgun with 18 shells left after I used 2 testing it in the garage. The Glock with 8 rounds. Another pistol, a Sig Sauer, with 11 rounds. The empty rifle I've repurposed as a club. Not much ammunition, so every shot has to count. I've set up a routine because routine is survival. Humans need structure. Without it, we fall apart. And I can't afford to fall apart. So 600 hours. Wake up. I sleep in the back on the bench seat, using the tactical vests as a pillow and the emergency blankets for warmth. The parking garage gets cold at night, and the Bearcat's insulation is minimal. I wake up stiff, aching, my neck twisted from sleeping on metal. May 6th. Physical check. Wiggle fingers and toes. Make sure I'm not injured, sick, or bitten. Check the vehicle for any signs of breach or damage. Look out the gun ports to see if any infected have wandered into the garage overnight. Usually there's a few, drawn by some instinct or random wandering. They don't seem to notice the Bearcat unless I make noise. 6:30. Breakfast. Half an MRE, heated using the chemical heater packs they come with. Hot food is a luxury I won't give up. It's psychological, not just nutritional. Hot food means civilization, means normalcy. I eat slowly, making it last, trying to taste every bite. 0700. Water ration. 4 ounces exactly. I've marked the inside of a plastic water bottle with permanent marker from the truck's glove box. 4 ounces, 4 times a day. 16 ounces total. Below the recommended amount, but I'm not doing strenuous activity. Mostly I'm sitting, waiting, thinking. 800 to 1200. Watch and wait. This is the hardest part. The boredom. I scan the garage through the gun ports, watch the ramps, listen for any sounds. I've learned to distinguish between different types of infected movement. The shambling ones are slow, recent turns, still figuring out their new bodies. The runners are older, somehow more adapted, terrifying in their speed and focus. Both are deadly. I've also started exercises to stay sane. Mental math, reciting everything I can remember, addresses of every job I've worked, names of every client, the entire lineup of the 2019 Met season, because I'm a glutton for punishment. I sing songs in my head, full albums start to finish. Bruce Springsteen, mostly. Dad's music. 1200, lunch. Quarter of an MRE, water ration. 1300, 1700, maintenance and planning. I check the Bearcat systems, though I'm no mechanic. The fuel gauge is my constant obsession. Still at half tank. The engine burns about a gallon an hour when running, and I've run it maybe 10 hours total since I got here. Charging the battery, moving the vehicle to different spots in the garage to avoid patterns, once to push a wrecked car out of my sightline on the lower ramp. I've also started keeping a journal on the backs of SWAT deployment forms I found in a clipboard. Writing this helps, makes it real. Makes me feel like someone might read it someday, might know what happened. Might remember that Thaddeus Crane survived as long as he could. 1700. Dinner. Half an MR eats water ration. 1800, 2000. Watch the sunset through the garage's open sides. The sky turns colors I've never seen before. Purples and oranges and reds so vivid they look painted. Pollution from the fires, probably. Particulates in the atmosphere catching the light. Beautiful and terrible. This is when the loneliness hits hardest. Think about Meredith, my girlfriend, ex-girlfriend, who broke up with me 2 months before the world ended. I think about calling her a jerk move at the time, but now I'm grateful she's not here suffering through this. I hope she made it somewhere safe. I hope anyone made it somewhere safe. 2000, final check of the perimeter, last water ration. 2100, try to sleep. Usually fail until midnight or later. The nightmares are worse than being awake. The food situation is my biggest problem. I've done the math too many times. 9 MREs left. Each MRE is about 1,100 calories. I'm eating approximately 1,000 calories per day, which is below survival baseline. At this rate, I have 9 days of food left. Maybe 12 if I cut back further, but then I'll be too weak to think clearly, to react if something happens. Need to scavenge, but scavenging means leaving the Bearcat, and leaving means exposure, risk, probable death. I've scouted from the gun ports. The parking garage connects to a shopping complex that's been thoroughly looted. I can see a pharmacy with its windows smashed, a convenience store that's burned out, a restaurant with tables and chairs scattered across the sidewalk like toys. There's probably nothing left in any of them. But there's an office building across the street, 12 stories, glass and steel. The ground floor looks intact. People worked there, which means people stored food there. Desk snacks, vending machines, a break room fridge, maybe even a cafeteria. I've been watching that building for 3 days, working up the courage. The infected don't seem to go inside. Something about enclosed spaces deters them, or maybe they're drawn to open areas where there's more chance of finding prey. I've seen maybe 5 infected near the building's entrance in 3 days. Manageable numbers. Yesterday, I made my decision. Tomorrow, today, now, since it's past midnight, I'm going to try. I have to. Starvation is a certainty if I stay here. At least scavenging gives me a chance. I've packed a smaller bag, a tactical sling pack I found in the Bearcat storage. Bolt cutters in case of locked doors. The Glock with all 8 rounds loaded. My lockpick set because locked doors are my specialty. A flashlight. An empty backpack to carry whatever I find. The plan. Drive the Bearcat to the office building entrance, park as close as possible, run inside, sweep the ground floor for supplies, get back to the vehicle. 10 minutes maximum. In and out before the infected can swarm. I'm terrified. My hands won't stop shaking. I've already thrown up once from anxiety. Precious calories lost to the floor grating. But I'm out of options. It's 5:30 now. Dawn in an hour. I'm going to wait for full light, better visibility, and the infected seems slightly slower in daylight. Photosensitive, maybe. I'll move at 700. Thaddeus Crane, locksmith, survivor, idiot about to get himself killed. If anyone finds this journal, know that I tried. Know that I didn't give up. Here we go. 6:58 hours. I'm sitting in the driver's seat, engine idling, watching the office building entrance. 2 infected visible, both shambling types. One used to be a security guard based on the uniform remnants. The other's too deteriorated to identify. My mouth is dry despite the extra water I drank. The Glock sits on the passenger seat, safety off, round chambered. The tactical vest is tight across my chest, restricting my breathing, but I'm not taking it off. Kevlar might stop a bite. Might. 700. I put the Bearcat in drive and roll down the ramp, taking it slow, trying to minimize noise. The vehicle's diesel engine is quiet for its size, but it's not silent. The infected notice immediately, turning toward the sound. Their heads track the movement with predatory precision. I navigate around abandoned cars, broken glass crunching under the massive tires. The office building gets closer, 50 feet, 40. The two infected start moving toward me, but they're slow, manageable. 30 feet. I can see the building's entrance clearly now. Revolving doors, one of them jammed open. Dark lobby beyond. 20 feet. An infected stumbles out from behind a delivery truck. Faster than the others, a runner. It sprints toward the Bearcat, arms outstretched, mouth open. I press the accelerator, feel the vehicle surge forward. The infected hits the front bumper and goes under, a sickening crunch that I feel through the steering wheel. 10 feet from the entrance. I stop the Bearcat at an angle, driver's side door closest to the building, engine still running. I need a quick escape. Deep breath, grab the Glock, grab the bags. I open the door, and the morning air hits me, cool and rank with decay. The security guard infected is 15 feet away, moving toward me. The other shambler is 20 feet, slower. I have maybe 30 seconds before they close the distance. I run for the revolving door. My boots hit pavement, then tile as I push through into the lobby. It's dark inside, emergency lighting providing only minimal illumination. The air is stale, motionless. My flashlight beam cuts through the darkness, revealing an abandoned reception desk, potted plants now dead and brown. A directory board listing companies I'll never care about. 20 seconds gone. I need to move. The lobby has 3 hallways branching off. I pick the one with a sign reading Cafe and Commons with an arrow pointing left. Follow it, moving fast, the Glock up and ready. The break room is 30 feet down the hall, glass walls showing tables, chairs, a kitchenette. I try the door, locked. Of course it's locked. I pull out my lockpick set, hands shaking, muscle memory taking over. It's a standard commercial lock, nothing fancy. Rake pick, tension wrench. Feel for the pins. This is what I do. This is what I'm good at. 5 seconds. The lock clicks. I'm in. The kitchenette has cabinets above a counter, a refrigerator that's now just a box of rot, a microwave. I go for the cabinets first, yanking them open. Jackpot. Coffee, useless. Sugar packets, useful. Protein bars, a whole box of them. Granola and chocolate and some kind of berry flavor. I start shoving them in my backpack. A jar of peanut butter, seal unbroken. Crackers, 2 sleeves. A box of instant oatmeal packets. 45 seconds gone. I hear something behind me, spin with the Glock raised. Nothing there. Just my paranoia, my racing heartbeat pounding in my ears. Keep moving. There's a vending machine in the commons area. I run to it, see it's fully stocked. Chips, candy bars, cookies. The glass is reinforced, but the bolt cutters make short work of the lock mechanism on the side panel. The door swings open, and I'm grabbing everything. Candy bars by the handful, chips bags shoved into every pocket and corner of the backpack. 60 seconds. A sound from the lobby, a wet shuffling noise that makes my skin crawl. They've come inside. Multiple sets of footsteps. The slap of dead feet on tile. I zip the backpack, sling it over my shoulder, heavy with supplies. Enough food for 2 weeks if I'm careful, maybe 3. I move back toward the hallway, staying low, trying to be silent. 3 infected in the lobby. I can see them through the glass walls of the hallway. They're searching, drawn by the noise I made, spreading out. One of them, a woman in a torn dress, her jaw hanging at an unnatural angle, moves toward the hallway where I'm hiding. I back up, looking for another exit. There, an emergency exit sign, red letters glowing on battery backup. I move toward it, praying it doesn't have an alarm. The infected woman is closer now, maybe 40 feet away, her broken jaw working soundlessly, drool or blood or something worse dripping from her mouth. I hit the emergency exit bar and silence. No alarm. The door opens onto a side alley, daylight flooding in. I run, the backpack bouncing against my spine, the Glock still in my hand. The alley is clear. The Bearcat is visible at the front of the building, engine still running, driver's door open like a promise. But there's infected between me and it. I count 5, 6, 7, more than when I went in. The engine noise has drawn them, and now they're clustered around the vehicle, pawing at it, trying to find a way inside. I have two choices: fight through them or find another way. Fighting means using ammunition I can't replace. Finding another way means risking getting lost, surrounded, killed. I choose option 3. The Bearcat has a horn. I sprint along the building's perimeter, staying in cover until I'm 40 feet from the vehicle at a different angle. The infected haven't seen me yet. I aim the Glock at the Bearcat's hood and fire. The shot cracks across the morning, impossibly loud. The bullet sparks off the armored hull, and the infected turn toward the sound, moving away from the driver's door, clustering toward where the bullet hit. I run, straight sprint, no thinking, pure adrenaline. The door is open, 20 feet. An infected notices me, starts to turn 15 feet. I fire again, not at the infected but at the ground near them, creating noise and confusion. 10 feet. I'm at the door, throwing myself inside, dropping the Glock on the passenger seat as my hands hit the steering wheel. Gear shift, drive, accelerator. The Bearcat surges forward, and I'm turning the wheel, navigating back toward the parking garage. The infected chase us, but they can't keep up. In the rearview mirror, I watch them recede, their arms still reaching, always reaching. I'm laughing, hysterical, relieved, terrified laughter that I can't control. I made it. I got supplies. I survived. The parking garage appears ahead, and I guide the Bearcat up the ramps, back to the 3rd floor, back to my corner. I park, kill the engine, and sit there shaking for 5 minutes before I can even move. Then, I unload the backpack and take inventory. 23 protein bars, 1 jar of peanut butter, creamy, 16 ounces, 2 sleeves of crackers, 12 packets of instant oatmeal. From the vending machine, 18 candy bars, 12 bags of chips, 6 packages of cookies. I do the math. Each protein bar is about 200 calories. The candy bars are similar. The chips may be 150 per bag. The peanut butter is 2,400 calories total. The crackers and oatmeal add maybe another 1,000 combined. Total, approximately 11,000 calories. At my current consumption rate of 1,000 calories per day, that's 11 days of food. Combined with my remaining MREs, I have 20 days of supplies now, maybe 25 if I stretch it. 25 days to figure out what comes next. I eat a protein bar to celebrate, chocolate and peanut butter flavor that tastes like victory and borrowed time. Then, I drink my water ration and update my journal. Scavenging run successful. No bites, no injuries. Fired 2 rounds, 6 remaining in the Glock. Mental state: shaky but functional. Day 18. Still alive, still fighting. The euphoria from the successful scavenging run lasted about 3 hours. Then reality set in. I just spent 2 bullets and massive amounts of adrenaline to buy myself 20 days. What happens on day 21? This is the trap of survival. Every solution is temporary. Every victory is just delay. I can't stay in this parking garage forever. Eventually, the fuel will run out completely. Eventually, there will be no more buildings to scavenge, no more supplies to find. Eventually, I'll have to make a real decision about what comes next, but not today. Today, I'm going to rest, ration carefully, and watch the city die around me. The infected have changed since day 1. I've noticed it through the gun ports, watching them shamble and hunt below. They're getting faster. Not all of them, but enough to be concerning. The fresh ones, the recent turns, they're sluggish, uncoordinated. But the ones that have been infected for a week or more, they move with purpose. They learn. I watched one yesterday work its way through a car door, not by breaking the window, but by finding the handle, pulling it, figuring out the mechanism. It took 15 minutes, but it got the door open. That level of problem solving is terrifying. It means they're not just mindless corpses. Some part of their brain is still functioning, adapting, evolving. Or maybe I'm seeing patterns that aren't there. Maybe it was muscle memory, the infected person remembering how to open a car door from when they were alive. Maybe I'm overthinking because overthinking is all I have to do. The isolation is harder than the hunger. Humans aren't built for this level of solitude. We're social creatures, pack animals who need interaction and connection. I find myself talking out loud just to hear a human voice, even if it's my own. I narrate my actions like I'm giving a tour. Now Thaddeus is opening an MRE, beef stew flavor, his second favorite. He's heating it with the chemical pack, watching it steam. Good job, Thaddeus. It's pathetic. It's also necessary. The silence will drive me crazy faster than the infected will kill me. I think about Dinah a lot. My apprentice, 23 years old, smart as hell, faster at picking locks than I was at her age. She wanted to take over the business eventually, had plans to expand into security systems and smart locks. We talked about it over coffee the week before everything collapsed. She'd been excited, her whole life ahead of her. That feel like death text haunts me. Was she already infected when she sent it? Did she turn in her apartment alone, scared, in pain? Or did she survive, find safety somewhere, maybe with her family in Vermont? I hope it was Vermont. I hope she made it. My family is easier to think about because they're already gone. Mom and Dad, both buried in Greenwood Cemetery on the east side. My sister Rochelle moved to Australia 8 years ago, married a guy named Simon, had 2 kids I've only seen in photos. Australia seemed so far away when the world was normal. Now it might as well be Mars. I wonder if the infection spread there, if the whole world is like this, or if it was contained to just the United States, just this region, just this city. The radio doesn't tell me anything. I crank the emergency radio every few hours, scanning through frequencies, hearing only static. Sometimes I think I catch fragments of voices. Emergency broadcasts, but they fade before I can make out words. Once, 2 days ago, I heard music. Classical, orchestral, beautiful. It played for 30 seconds and then cut to static. I cried. Actually sat there in the driver's seat and cried because music meant people, meant civilization, meant I wasn't the last person alive. But I haven't heard it since. Maybe I imagined it. Maybe it was a recording, an automated system playing to no one. Maybe hope is more dangerous than despair. Day 22. The fuel gauge is at a quarter tank. I've been so careful running the engine only when absolutely necessary, but it's still dropping. Physics doesn't care about my survival needs. Combustion engines burn fuel. Eventually, the fuel runs out. I'm going to have to leave the parking garage soon. Not today, not tomorrow, but soon. The question is, where do I go? I've been studying the city through the gun ports, mapping it in my mind. To the north is the residential district where I grew up, rows of houses that are probably full of infected now, families who turned on each other, neighbors who became predators. No safety there, no supplies worth the risk. To the south is the industrial zone, warehouses and factories. Lots of space, lots of potential shelter, but also wide open areas where infected can swarm from any direction. Defensibility is questionable. East is the river. The Larkspur River, which runs through the city and eventually feeds into the Atlantic 60 miles downstream. Water means potential escape routes, boats maybe, but it also means bridges, and bridges are choke points. Natural kill zones where both the infected and desperate survivors would congregate. West is the highway, Interstate 89, which connects to the national network. Before the collapse, traffic cams showed the highway jammed with refugees fleeing the cities. Now those same cars are tombs, miles of gridlocked metal coffins filled with corpses and infected. But beyond the gridlock, maybe 20 or 30 miles out, there might be clear road, might be escape. I'm leaning west. The Bearcat can handle rough terrain if needed, can push through obstacles. If I can get past the initial gridlock, I might be able to reach the countryside, find a farmhouse or rural community that's still defendable. People in rural areas have guns, supplies, space to see threats coming. It's my best chance. But it's still a suicide run. The highway means exposure. means noise, means drawing every infected in a 5-mile radius. And once I leave the parking garage, I can't come back. This corner on the 3rd floor has been my fortress, my sanctuary. Leaving it means giving up the only safety I've known in 3 weeks. I'm not ready yet. I need more time to plan, to prepare, to work up the courage. Instead, I'm going to do another scavenging run. There's an auto parts store 2 blocks from here. If I can get there, I might find fuel additives, oil, maybe even a gas can with fuel inside. Anything to extend the Bearcat's range. I'm also going to look for weapons. The auto parts store is next to a sporting goods shop that might have ammunition, knives, maybe even firearms if I'm lucky. 6 rounds in the Glock isn't enough for a highway run. I need more firepower. Tomorrow morning, 700 hours. I'll make the run then, when I'm fresh, when the daylight is full. Tonight, I'm going to eat a full MRE, all 1,100 calories, and try to sleep without nightmares. I'm going to remember what it felt like to be safe, to live in a world where the dead stayed dead, and the biggest worry in my life was whether I'd lock the shop door. I miss that world so much, it physically hurts. But missing it won't bring it back. Survival is forward motion, always forward, never back. Thaddeus Crane, day 22, still breathing, still fighting. 6:45 hours. I'm geared up, ready to go. Tactical vest, helmet, both pistols, the Glock with 6 rounds and the Sig Sauer with 11. I've loaded both, chambered rounds, checked the safeties 3 times. The bolt cutters are strapped to my back, flashlight in my pocket. Empty backpack folded in the sling pack. The auto parts store is visible from the 3rd floor, 2 blocks north. The sporting goods store is adjacent, sharing a parking lot. From here, I can see the storefronts. Both have been looted, windows broken, but maybe there's something left inside. Looters in the early days would have gone for food and water first. Auto parts and ammunition might have been lower priority. I start the engine, listen to it rumble to life. The fuel gauge mocks me. Quarter tank, maybe 60 miles of range if I'm lucky. Every mile I drive for scavenging is a mile I can't drive to escape. But without supplies, I won't survive long enough to escape anyway. The math of survival is ruthless. I pull out of my corner, navigate down the ramps. Morning light filters through the garage's open sides, revealing the city in harsh detail. Smoke rises from fires that have burned for weeks. Bodies litter the streets, some moving, some not. A dog, God, a living dog, runs past carrying something in its mouth. Life finds a way, even in hell. The Bearcat rolls onto the street. 2 infected immediately noticed and turning toward the sound. I ignore them, focusing on the route. Straight 2 blocks, right turn into the parking lot. Simple, in and out. Block 1 is clear. I navigate around a burned-out sedan, its interior black and skeletal. Block 2 has a cluster of infected, 6 of them, feeding on something in the street. They look up as I approach, their faces covered in gore, and for a moment I think they're going to attack, but they just watch as I pass, then return to their meal. Some kind of territorial instinct, maybe. They've claimed this kill and aren't interested in challenging a 6-ton vehicle for it. The parking lot appears ahead. I turn in, scanning for threats. 3 infected shambling near the sporting goods entrance. 1 crawler dragging itself across the asphalt, both legs destroyed. I drive past them, stopping the Bearcat 20 feet from the auto parts store entrance. Engine off or running? Running means noise, means drawing attention. Off means potential failure to start when I need to escape. I compromise. Engine on but idling low, ready to go. I grab both pistols, the bolt cutters, my supplies bag, open the door, and hit the pavement running. The auto parts store entrance is a yawning black mouth, glass scattered across the threshold like teeth. I step through carefully, avoiding the broken glass, flashlight up and sweeping. The interior is a mess, shelves knocked over, products scattered across the floor, signs of looting and chaos. But there's still inventory, Brake pads, air filters, wiper blades. None of it useful to me. I need fuel, oil, anything liquid that burns. I navigate toward the back where they'd keep automotive fluids. My boots crunch on debris, too loud, announcing my presence. Nothing moves in the darkness. The air smells like motor oil and dust. There. A shelf still standing, plastic bottles lined up. Motor oil, transmission fluid, brake fluid, antifreeze. And, yes, a 5-gallon gas can. I grab it, shake it, empty, useless. But there's 2 more behind it. I grab the second one, heavy, slosh of liquid inside, fuel. Maybe 3 gallons, not much, but enough to extend my range by 30 miles. I'm loading it into my bag when I hear the sound behind me, not the shambling of infected. Footsteps, human footsteps, trying to be quiet and failing. I spin, both pistols up, adrenaline spiking. A figure stands 15 feet away, backlit by the entrance light. Male, thin, holding something, a crowbar maybe. We stare at each other for a frozen moment. "Don't shoot." His voice is hoarse, cracked from disuse. "Please don't shoot." I keep the pistols aimed at him. "Who are you?" "Kelton Rourke. I've been hiding in the stockroom." He gestures toward the back of the store. 3 weeks now. You're the first person I've seen who wasn't one of them." He's young, maybe mid-20s, with a scraggly beard and wild eyes. His clothes are filthy, torn. He looks half-starved, desperate, dangerous. "You alone?" I ask. "Yeah, completely alone." His voice breaks on the word. "I thought I was the only one left. I thought everyone was gone." I lower the pistols slightly but don't holster them. There are more of us. Not many. But we're out there. Where? Where are the others? He steps forward eagerly and I raise the pistols again. "Stop! Don't come closer!" He freezes. "I'm not infected, I swear. I need help. I have no food left, no water. I've been drinking from the toilet tank in the bathroom." The desperation in his voice sounds genuine. But desperation makes people do terrible things. I've heard stories, radio broadcasts in the early days before the grid collapsed, about survivors attacking each other for supplies, forming gangs, becoming predators worse than the infected. "I can't help you," I say. "I barely have enough for myself. Please." He's begging now, and I hate it. "I can be useful. I know how to fix engines. I was a mechanic before all this. Your truck out there. I could maintain it, keep it running. Please, I'll do anything." A mechanic. The Bearcat's engine is a mystery to me. I've been praying nothing breaks because I wouldn't know how to fix it. Having someone with mechanical skills could mean the difference between surviving and being stranded. But it could also mean trusting a stranger in a world where trust gets you killed. "Show me your arms," I say. "Roll up your sleeves, both of them." He complies immediately, pushing up the torn fabric to reveal stick-thin arms covered in grime, but no bite marks, no scratches that look infected. "Turn around, lift your shirt." He turns, pulls up his shirt. His back is a topography of ribs and spine, but no wounds, no signs of infection. "Okay, you're clean." I lower the pistols but keep them in my hands. "Here's the deal. You can come with me, but you ride in the back of the vehicle. You don't touch anything, don't try anything. We get somewhere safe, we talk about this arrangement. You make one wrong move, I shoot you. Understood?" "Understood. Yes, thank you." He's crying now, tears cutting tracks through the dirt on his face. "Thank you so much." I feel like I'm making a terrible mistake, but I can't just leave him here to starve. Some small part of my humanity still exists, still refuses to let people die when I can help. "There's a sporting goods store next door," I say. "We're going to check it for ammunition and supplies, then we leave. You stay behind me, you do what I say, and maybe we both survive this. Got it?" "Got it." We move toward the entrance together, an uneasy alliance forged in desperation and need. The Bearcat sits where I left it, engine still idling, a small miracle in a world of horrors. The three infected near the sporting goods store have noticed us now, moving slowly toward the auto parts entrance. "Run," I tell Kelton. "Straight to the vehicle. Back door, left side." We run together, my mechanical knowledge and his desperation, two survivors in a dead world. The infected try to intercept us, but they're slow, uncoordinated. I fire once, the Glock, my last precious bullets, and the lead infected drops with a hole in its skull. The other two stumble over the body, giving us time. Kelton reaches the Bearcat first, yanks open the back door. I'm right behind him, covering our retreat. He climbs inside and I follow, slamming the door as hands slap against the armored exterior. Inside the vehicle, Kelton collapses on the bench seat, sobbing with relief. I move to the driver's seat, hands shaking, processing what I've just done. I've taken on a passenger, a liability, someone who will need food, water, protection, someone who might betray me, might be infected and hiding it, might be insane, or someone who might help me survive. I put the Bearcat in gear and drive away from the auto parts store, the sporting goods store forgotten in the chaos. 5 rounds left in the Glock, 11 in the SIG, a stranger in my vehicle, and the fuel gauge dropping steadily toward empty. Day 22 just got a lot more complicated. We're back in the parking garage, 3rd floor, my corner. Kelton sits in the back, still crying quietly. I'm in the driver's seat, pistol in my lap, watching him in the rearview mirror. "Tell me your story," I say. "How you ended up in that auto parts store." He wipes his face with filthy hands, leaving smears of dirt and tears. "I worked there, assistant manager. When the outbreak started, I was doing inventory in the stockroom, heard the screaming outside, locked myself in, stayed there for 3 days before I even knew what was happening. You had supplies?" "Some. Vending machine in the break room, bottled water from the mini fridge. I made it last as long as I could. When it ran out, I started doing what you saw. Toilet water. I knew it would kill me eventually, but slower than starvation." His story has the ring of truth. The details are too specific, too pathetic to be fabricated. But I've been wrong before. "You said you're a mechanic." "Yeah, I know engines. Cars mostly, but I can work on trucks. That vehicle you've got, it's a Lenco Bearcat, right? I've seen them before when the SWAT team would come by for service. They're tough, but they need maintenance. When's the last time you checked the oil?" I stare at him. I haven't. He laughs, bitter and tired. "You've been running a 6-ton armored vehicle without checking the oil? Man, you're lucky it hasn't seized up. These engines burn oil like crazy, especially under stress. You could have destroyed it without knowing." The realization hits me like cold water. I've been so focused on fuel that I completely ignored basic maintenance. The Bearcat could have died at any moment, leaving me stranded, and I wouldn't have known why. "Can you check it now?" I ask. "If you've got oil, yeah, and some tools. It's not hard, just time-consuming." I gesture to the storage compartments. "There's tools in the back. Oil, too. I just scavenged some from your store. Help yourself." He moves to the storage area, rummaging through the supplies with the efficiency of someone who knows what they're looking for. He finds a wrench set, the motor oil I grabbed, some rags. Then he opens the rear door. I tense, hand on the Glock, and slides under the Bearcat. For 20 minutes, he works in silence. I watch the ramps, scanning for infected, listening to the metallic sounds of maintenance. It's surreal, this moment of normalcy in the apocalypse. 2 guys working on a vehicle like it's just another day. Finally, Kelton slides back out, covered in fresh oil stains. "You were down 2 quarts. The oil filter is shot, should be replaced, but it'll hold for now. I topped it off with the oil you found. Should be good for another 1,000 miles if you don't push it hard." Relief floods through me. "Thank you. Thank you for not leaving me to die." He sits on the bumper, exhausted. "What's the plan now? Are we staying here?" I consider the question. With 2 people, the supply situation just got tighter. The food I scavenged will last half as long, but I also have someone with skills, knowledge I desperately need. We're leaving, I decide. Tomorrow, maybe the day after. I'm heading west, trying to reach the countryside. The city is dead. Our best chance is finding somewhere rural, defensible. Kelton nods slowly. The highway is probably jammed. Everyone would have had the same idea, get out of the city. I know. But the Bearcat can handle rough terrain if we need to go off-road. And once we're past the initial gridlock, the highway should clear up. Should. He says the word with heavy emphasis. That's a lot of hope riding on should. You have a better idea? He's quiet for a long moment, then the railyard. East side of the city near the river. Freight trains, cargo containers, maintenance facilities. If we could find a working locomotive, we could follow the tracks out of the city. Trains don't care about gridlock. I stare at him. Do you know how to operate a train? No. But I can figure out engines. And train controls can't be that complicated. They've been using them for 100 years. It's worth considering. It's insane. It's also brilliant. The tracks would bypass all the highway gridlock, lead directly out of the city through routes that infected couldn't easily block. If we could get a train running? How far is the rail yard? I ask. 3 miles, maybe 4. Mostly industrial area, so lower population density. Fewer infected, hopefully. The fuel gauge still reads quarter tank. 3 miles there, 3 miles back if it doesn't work out. I'd still have enough fuel for a highway attempt. We'll scout it tomorrow, I say. No commitments, just reconnaissance. See if it's even feasible. Kelton's face lights up with something I haven't seen in weeks. Hope. Really? You're actually considering it? I'm considering everything that keeps us alive. But right now, we need to eat and rest. You hungry? Starving. I pull out 2 protein bars, hand him one. He tears into it like a wild animal, barely chewing before swallowing. I eat mine slower, savoring it, doing the math in my head. With 2 people, I have maybe 12 days of food left. 12 days to find more supplies, reach safety, or die trying. We eat in silence as the sun sets over the dead city, painting the sky in those impossible colors. 2 strangers in an armored vehicle planning impossible escapes, surviving one day at a time. This is the new world. This is all there is. Day 23. I wake up to find Kelton already awake, sitting in the driver's seat, staring out the windshield. He hasn't tried to start the engine, hasn't touched anything, just sitting, watching. Morning, I say, my voice rough with sleep. He doesn't turn around. There's more of them out there, the infected. I've been counting. 23 visible from here, and that's just what I can see. How many do you think are in the city total? I move to the passenger seat, look out at the street below. He's right. The infected have increased in numbers, or maybe they're just concentrating in this area. They wander aimlessly, bumping into obstacles, sometimes attacking each other in brief, savage fights. Population of the city before the outbreak was 800,000, I say. If even 10% of them turned and survived, that's 80,000 infected. Could be more, could be less. And we're going to drive through them to reach a rail yard. You want to back out? Say the word. I'll drop you wherever you want. He finally turns to look at me. No, I'm in. I needed to say it out loud. How crazy this is. How we're probably going to die. Probably, I agree. But what else are we going to do? Stay here until the food runs out? Until the infected figure out how to get up here? We're dead anyway if we don't try. He nods, accepting this. Then let's do it. Let's go see if we can steal a train. We eat a quick breakfast, half a protein bar each, water from the dwindling supply. I've started marking the water jugs with dates, tracking consumption. We're drinking more with 2 people, obviously, but it's still manageable. For now. 0800 hours. I start the engine, listen to it purr smoothly. Kelton's maintenance work has made a difference. I can hear it in the rhythm, feel it in the reduced vibration. Professional competence is worth more than gold. Route? I ask. Kelton pulls out a paper map he found in the glove box. spreads it across the dashboard. Main Street east to Industrial Boulevard. Follows the river most of the way. Wider roads, fewer buildings, better visibility. We might be able to avoid the worst concentrations. Might is the best we've got. I guide the Bearcat down the ramps, emerging onto the street. The infected notice immediately, turning toward us like flowers toward the sun. But they can't hurt us inside this metal fortress. I press the accelerator, and we roll forward into the dead city. Main Street is a horror show. Bodies everywhere. Some infected, some truly dead, all contributing to the overwhelming stench that seeps even through the Bearcat's filtered air system. I navigate around the worst of it, but sometimes there's no avoiding the wet crunch of tires over flesh. Kelton turns green, looks away. I don't think I'll ever get used to that sound. Don't, I tell him. The day you get used to it is the day you stop being human. We pass through what used to be a shopping district. The stores are burned out shells, their contents looted or destroyed. A department store has collapsed entirely, its facade crumbled into the street. A coffee shop I used to visit every Wednesday morning is now just scorched brick and broken furniture. I don't let myself think about the barista who knew my order by heart, who always had a smile and a terrible joke. Don't think about whether she made it, whether she's one of the shambling things in the street, whether she died scared and alone. Forward. Always forward. Industrial Boulevard appears ahead, a wide 6-lane street lined with warehouses and manufacturing facilities. The infected concentration is lower here, just as Kelton predicted. They're scattered, individual threats rather than swarms. 2 miles to the railyard, Kelton says, tracking our progress on the map. Should be about 10 minutes at this speed. 10 minutes, an eternity and an instant. I maintain steady speed, 30 miles per hour, fast enough to outrun infected on foot, but slow enough to react to obstacles. A semi-truck blocks 2 lanes ahead, jackknifed across the road. I steer around it using the sidewalk, crushing a bus stop shelter under the Bearcat's reinforced tires. The destruction barely registers. Infrastructure doesn't matter anymore. Movement, Kelton says suddenly, pointing. 12 o'clock, 50 yards. I see it. A group of infected, maybe 15 of them, clustered around something, feeding, probably. They notice the Bearcat, and several break off from the group running toward us, runners, the fast ones. Hold on, I warn, and press the accelerator harder. The Bearcat surges forward, engine roaring. The runners are fast, but not faster than 6 tons of armored vehicle. They slam into the front bumper, go under the wheels, become obstacles we roll over. Kelton makes a sound like he's going to vomit. I don't blame him. But I don't slow down either. The rail yard comes into view, a vast expanse of tracks, freight cars, cargo containers stacked like children's blocks. A maintenance building sits at the eastern edge, 3 stories of concrete and steel with garage bays large enough for locomotives. There, I point, that building. If there's a working train anywhere, the maintenance crew would keep it there. I navigate the Bearcat through the rail yard entrance, past a guard shack that's been abandoned, its window shattered. The tracks create a maze of steel and wood, forcing me to drive carefully to avoid getting stuck. The maintenance building's main garage door is closed but not locked. I park the Bearcat 20 feet away, engine running, and we both stare at the building. Could be infected inside, Kelton says. Could be supplies inside too. Tools, fuel, maybe even food in a break room. Could be nothing but death. Could be, I agree, but we won't know unless we look. I grab the Glock, 5 rounds left, and the bolt cutters. Kelton takes the crowbar he'd been carrying in the auto parts store. Not much for weapons, but it's what we have. We approach the door together. It's a rolling industrial door, chain-operated. The chain is locked with a padlock that looks commercial grade. I examine it, feel the familiar weight in my hands. I can pick this, I say. Give me 2 minutes. Kelton keeps watch while I work, lockpick set out, muscle memory taking over. The lock is stiff from disuse, but the mechanism is standard. I feel for the pins, apply tension, work each pin individually. It's meditative, this process. Something unchanged from the old world. The lock clicks open. I remove it, drop it on the ground. Ready? No. But let's do it anyway. I grab the chain, start pulling. The door rises with a metallic screech that echoes across the rail yard. We freeze, waiting to see if the noise attracts infected. Long seconds pass, nothing moves toward us. The garage interior is dark, massive, cathedral-like in its dimensions. My flashlight beam reveals a locomotive sitting on tracks that run through the building. It's huge, painted in faded orange and black, with Burlington Northern written on the side in peeling letters. "Holy shit," Kelton whispers. "That's a mainline diesel locomotive, EMD SD42 if I'm right. Those things are workhorses built to last forever." "Can you start it?" "I can try, but we need to check if it has fuel first, if the battery is charged, if—" He's interrupted by a sound from deeper in the building. Shuffling, movement. Not the wind, not settling metal. Something alive. Or undead. I raise the Glock, sweeping the flashlight beam across the darkness. Kelton grips his crowbar, positioning himself behind me. "Who's there?" I call out, knowing it's stupid, knowing infected don't answer. "But if there's survivors—" A figure stumbles into the light. Female, wearing overalls covered in old grease stains. Her face is gray, eyes milky white. Recent turn, maybe a few days old. She lurches toward us, mouth opening in a silent scream. I fire. The shot is deafening in the enclosed space, and the infected woman drops, a neat hole in her forehead. 4 rounds left. "Are there more?" Kelton asks, his voice shaking. "Probably. This is a maintenance building. The workers would have been here when the outbreak started. Could be dozens." As if in response to my words, more shuffling sounds emerge from the darkness. Multiple sources surrounding us. We're in a kill box exposed with limited ammunition and no escape route, except the way we came. "Back to the Bearcat," I say. "Now, move." We retreat toward the door. And that's when they emerge. 7 infected, all wearing the same overalls, all converging on us with that terrible, relentless hunger. I fire twice more, 2 down, 2 rounds left in the Glock. Kelton swings his crowbar, connecting with an infected man's skull with a wet crunch. We're at the door. I grab the chain, start pulling, trying to close it. The infected are 15 feet away. 10, 5. The door slams shut. I yank the chain through the mechanism, locking it in place. Hands immediately start pounding on the other side, the metal reverberating with the impact. Kelton and I run for the Bearcat, jump inside, slam the doors. Safe. For now. "That went well," Kelton says and starts laughing. Hysterical, relieved laughter that I can't help but join. We sit there in the Bearcat, surrounded by the dead city, laughing like lunatics. When we finally catch our breath, Kelton says, "The locomotive is in there. It might be our way out. But we'll need to clear the building first, make sure it's safe to work." "How many rounds do you think that would take?" "More than we have." I check the Glock. 2 rounds. The SIG has 11. 13 bullets total to fight our way through an unknown number of infected, clear a building, and figure out how to operate a train. The math doesn't work. It never works. "Plan B?" I ask. Kelton stares at the maintenance building, thinking. "There might be other locomotives in the rail yard. Freight cars sometimes have their own power units, or we could check the switching station, see if there's anything there. Or we could go back to the highway plan, drive west until we run out of fuel or find safety." He's quiet for a long time. Then, "I think we should go back to the parking garage, regroup. We're low on ammunition, low on supplies. We're making decisions from desperation, and that's how people die. We need to think this through, plan properly." He's right. The scavenging run was rushed. The rail yard idea was desperation. We're reacting instead of planning, and that's a good way to end up dead. "Okay," I agree. Back to the garage. We inventory what we have, figure out what we need, and make a real plan. No more flying blind. I start the engine and navigate back through the rail yard, past the maintenance building where infected hands still pound against the door. The drive back to the parking garage is tense, but uneventful. We see infected, but they're scattered, easy to avoid. The third-floor corner has never looked so welcoming. I park the Bearcat, kill the engine, and we sit in silence for a moment. Day 23, I say. Still alive, still trying. Still alive, Kelton echoes. That's something. It is something. In this new world, it's everything. We spend the rest of day 23 taking inventory, making lists, planning like our lives depend on it, because they do. Kelton finds a notebook in the storage compartments and starts writing everything down in neat, mechanical handwriting. Food. 8 MREs, 9,600 calories, 18 protein bars, 3,600 calories, 12 candy bars, 2,400 calories, 12 bags of chips, 1,800 calories, 6 packages of cookies, down 200 calories, 1 jar peanut butter, bass, 75% full, 1,800 calories, 2 sleeves crackers, 800 calories, 12 packets instant oatmeal, 1,800 calories. Total, 23,000 calories. Daily consumption, 2 people, 2,000 calories. Days remaining, 11.5 days. Water. 4.5 gallons remaining. Daily consumption, 2 people, 0.5 gallons. Days remaining, 9 days. Ammunition. Glock, 22, 2 rounds, Sig Sauer. P2 26, 11 rounds. Shotgun, 18 shells. Total, 31 rounds. Fuel. Bearcat tank, quarter full, approximately 15 gallons. Gas can, 3 gallons. Total, 18 gallons. Bearcat consumption, spare to 1 gallon per 3 miles. Range, 54 miles. Medical. Antibiotics, 75% of supply. Painkillers, 50% of supply. Gauze, bandages, 80% of supply. Suture kit, unused. Tools. Bolt cutters, crowbar, wrench set, screwdrivers, lockpick set, multi-tool, duct tape, zip ties. Kelton looks up from the notebook. 9 days until we're out of water. That's our hard deadline. We can stretch food, but we can't survive without water. The river, I say. We could boil water from the Larkspur River. It's contaminated, but boiling should make it safe. Maybe. Or maybe it's full of infected corpses and toxic runoff from the factories. Drinking it could kill us slower than dehydration. He's right, but it's still an option. A terrible option, but one we might need. What about fuel, I ask. 54 miles isn't much. If we're heading west to the countryside, we'd need to find more fuel along the way. Gas stations are probably dry or surrounded by infected. Our best bet is siphoning from abandoned vehicles, but that's time-consuming and dangerous. I stare at the numbers, trying to find a solution that doesn't end with our deaths. What if we don't take the Bearcat all the way? What if we drive as far as the fuel allows, then continue on foot? With 13 bullets and no transportation through territory filled with infected? That's suicide. Everything is suicide. I snap, frustration boiling over. Staying is suicide. Leaving is suicide. We're trapped in a metal box waiting to die of thirst while the city rots around us. So tell me, Kelton, what's the non-suicide option? He's quiet, staring at his notebook. Then, quietly, there isn't one. We're already dead. We're just deciding how and when. The words hang in the air, heavy with truth. We're survivors on borrowed time, and the debt is coming due. But I refuse to accept that. I didn't survive 3 weeks alone, didn't steal this vehicle, didn't risk my life scavenging just to give up now. No, I say. We're not dead, we're alive, and we're going to stay that way. Here's what we're going to do. Tomorrow, we make one more scavenging run. We need water, bottles, jugs, anything we can find. We need food, and we need ammunition. There's got to be somewhere in this city that hasn't been completely picked clean. Where? Kelton asks. We've already hit the auto parts store, the office building. Where else is there? I think back to my years in this city, to all the places I've worked, installed locks, cut keys. The university, it's north of here, about 2 miles. Dormitories would have had vending machines, mini fridges in the rooms. The campus police station would have had weapons and ammunition. And the environmental science building has a water purification lab. I installed their security locks 2 years ago. Kelton's eyes widen. Water purification. That could solve our hydration problem. If the equipment is still there, still functional. Big ifs. But possible? Possible, I agree. We spend the rest of the daylight hours planning the university run. Kelton marks the route on the map. Main Street north to University Avenue, straight through the campus to the Environmental Science Building. 2 miles there, 2 miles back, 4 miles total. Well, within our fuel budget. The campus police station is in the center of campus, adjacent to the student union. We'll hit that first for ammunition, then move to the dorms for food, finally ending at the Environmental Science Building for the purification equipment. It's ambitious. It's dangerous. It's our best chance. As the sun sets, we eat a sparse dinner, protein bars and water, carefully rationed. Kelton asked me about my life before, and I tell him about the locksmith shop, about Dinah, about the simple routine of cutting keys and installing deadbolts. He tells me about the auto parts store, about his dreams of opening his own garage someday, specializing in classic car restoration, about his girlfriend Enid, who worked as a nurse and was at the hospital when the outbreak started. He doesn't know if she made it. Probably didn't. We don't talk about family. The losses are too fresh, too painful. Instead, we talk about the small things we miss. Hot showers, fresh coffee, the sound of traffic, normal human sounds that we took for granted. What will you do if we make it? Kelton asks. If we actually survive this? Get somewhere safe? I've been asking myself that question for 3 weeks. I don't know. Maybe restart the locksmith business if civilization rebuilds. People will always need locks, need security. What about you? Fix engines, build things. Maybe help rebuild whatever's left of the world. He pauses, assuming there's anything left to rebuild. There will be, I say, with more confidence than I feel. Humans are survivors. We've survived plagues, wars, catastrophes. We'll survive this too. You really believe that? I have to. Otherwise, what's the point? We settle in for the night, taking turns on watch. I take the first shift, sitting in the driver's seat, scanning the darkness through the windshield. The city is quiet tonight, unusually so. No distant gunshots, no screams, no sounds of chaos. Just the soft wind and the occasional shuffle of infected on the street below. It's peaceful, in a horrible way. This is what the end of the world sounds like. Not a bang, but a whimper. Not explosions and destruction, but silence and decay. I think about Dinah's text again. Feel like death. 3 words that haunt me. I wonder if she knew somehow that something was wrong, if she felt the infection taking hold, felt herself changing. I hope it was quick. I hope it didn't hurt. I hope she didn't suffer alone. The stars are visible tonight. No light pollution to obscure them. I haven't looked at the stars in years, too busy with work, with life, with the 1,000 small concerns that don't matter anymore. They're beautiful, cold, and distant, and eternal. Somewhere up there, maybe. Someone is looking down at Earth and wondering what happened to us. Or maybe we're alone in the universe, the only intelligence in a vast emptiness, and we couldn't even survive ourselves. Depressing thoughts for a night watch. I shake them off, focus on the present. Movement on the lower ramp, 2 infected, shuffling aimlessly. They don't come up to the 3rd floor. They never do, not without a reason. The stairs seem to confuse them, require a level of problem-solving they can't manage. That might not last. They're learning, adapting. Eventually, they might figure it out. Midnight passes. I wake Kelton for his shift, crawl into the back, wrap myself in the emergency blankets. Sleep comes hard, as it always does, but eventually I drift off. I dream of the locksmith shop. I'm cutting a key from Mrs. Kowalski, the woman from the nail salon. She's smiling, talking about her grandkids. The key snaps in the machine, and when I look up, she's infected, reaching for me with bloody hands. I try to run, but my legs won't move. She gets closer, closer. I wake up gasping, covered in cold sweat. Kelton is still in the driver's seat, silhouetted against the pre-dawn light. He doesn't turn around, doesn't ask if I'm okay. He knows the nightmares. We all have them now. Day 24 begins with gray light and the smell of my own fear. We eat breakfast in silence, oatmeal packets mixed with precious water, warm and bland but filling. Check the weapons, the supplies, the fuel gauge. 800 hours. Time to raid a university. The university campus looks like a war zone. We approach from University Avenue, and the destruction is immediately visible. Burned buildings, overturned cars, bodies scattered across the carefully manicured lawns that once hosted students studying under trees. I went here, Kelton says quietly, 3 semesters before I dropped out to work full-time. And that building there, the brick one, that's where I had intro to engineering. Professor Carruthers, nicest guy you'd ever meet. Wonder what happened to him. I don't answer. What happened to Professor Carruthers is probably the same thing that happened to everyone else. The campus police station is ahead, a squat concrete building trying to look official with its blue trim and police badge logo. The front entrance is barricaded, furniture piled against the doors, visible through the glass. Someone tried to hold out here. I park the Bearcat 30 feet from a side entrance. We go in fast, look for the armory or weapons locker, grab what we can, get out. 10 minutes maximum. Kelton nods, gripping his crowbar. I take the shotgun this time. 18 shells of close-range stopping power. Better for clearing rooms than the pistols. The side entrance is locked but not barricaded. My lockpicks make quick work of the commercial lock, and we're inside, moving through a hallway that smells like death and disinfectant. Someone tried to clean, tried to maintain order even as the world collapsed. The station layout is simple. Front desk and lobby, offices to the left, locker room, and holding cells to the right. The armory would be in the back, secured, probably locked with something more substantial than my picks can handle. We clear the offices first. 3 infected inside, all wearing police uniforms. They turn toward us, and I fire the shotgun 3 times, the boom echoing through the building. 3 down, 15 shells left. The locker room is clear, but has been thoroughly ransacked. Lockers hang open, empty. Someone got here first, took all the easily accessible equipment. The armory is in the back, just as expected. Heavy steel door, electronic lock that's dead from the power outage, but also a manual override. A simple key lock that I can work with. While I pick the lock, Kelton watches our backs, crowbar ready. Movement, he says. Hallway. How many? Can't tell. At least 2. The lock clicks open. I push the armory door, and it swings into a small room lined with weapons racks, rifles, shotguns, pistols, all secured with cable locks. Boxes of ammunition on shelves. Body armor. A small arsenal. Jackpot, I breathe. We work fast, loading ammunition into our packs. 9mm for the pistols, 12 gauge for the shotgun, and, miracle of miracles, we find a rifle that takes 123 rounds, something I can actually use. We take 4 boxes of each caliber, as much as we can carry without being weighed down. Body armor too, 2 Kevlar vests, properly rated, far better than the tactical vests we've been using. A ballistic helmet for Kelton, knee and elbow pads, professional gear. "Thaddeus?" Kelton says urgently. "They're coming." I grab 1 more box of shotgun shells, and we're moving, back through the hallway. 5 infected block our path to the exit. I raise the shotgun, fire twice. 2 down, 13 shells left. Kelton swings his crowbar, connects with another infected's head. I shoot again. Down to 12 shells, but we're through, running for the side entrance. The Bearcat is where we left it, engine running, door open. We throw ourselves inside, and I'm behind the wheel, slamming into gear, pulling away from the police station as infected emerge from the building behind us. "How much ammo did we get?" I ask, navigating toward the dormitories. Kelton is sorting through the packs. 200 rounds of 9mm, 100 rounds of 203 for the rifle, 75 shotgun shells, plus what we already had. We're actually armed now. Armed. The word carries weight. We're not helpless anymore. We can defend ourselves, fight if necessary. The math of survival just changed in our favor. The dormitories loom ahead, 3 brick buildings arranged in a U-shape around a central courtyard. I park in the courtyard, maximizing our ability to watch all 3 buildings at once. "Pick a dorm," I tell Kelton. We clear floor by floor, hit the vending machines and mini fridges, grab everything edible. We choose the nearest building, Hartman Hall, according to the sign. The front entrance is propped open with a cinder block, an invitation to danger. Inside, the lobby looks like students left in a hurry. Backpacks on the floor, a TV still on but showing only static, pizza boxes and empty energy drink cans scattered everywhere. The building is 5 floors. We start with the first floor, moving room to room. Most doors are open or easily kicked in. The scene is repeated in each room. Evidence of hasty departure, some rooms empty, others still containing the personal effects of students who never came back. We find food everywhere. Mini fridges contain spoiled milk and rotten produce, but also canned sodas, energy drinks, sealed packages of lunch meat that's somehow still vacuum sealed and might be safe. We take it all, filling our packs. Vending machines in the common areas are our real prize. I use the bolt cutters on the locks, and we load up on chips, candy, cookies, every high-calorie snack food that college students live on. It's not nutritious, but it's calories. And calories mean survival. By the 3rd floor, we've filled both packs and have started using trash bags as additional carry. The hall is incredible, enough food for weeks if we ration it properly. That's when we hear it. Above us, on the 4th or 5th floor. Footsteps. Human footsteps, not the shambling gait of infected. Kelton and I freeze, listening. The footsteps move quickly, purposefully. "Someone's up there. Someone alive." "Hello," I call out. "Anyone there? We're friendly." The footsteps stop. Silence. Then, a voice, female, frightened. "Who are you?" "Survivors. Just scavenging for supplies. We're not here to hurt anyone." "Prove it. Leave your weapons and come up with your hands visible." I look at Kelton. He shakes his head. Walking into a trap is suicide. But leaving might mean abandoning potential allies, information, resources. "We can't do that," I call back. "But we'll holster our weapons, keep our hands visible, come up slowly. Fair?" Long pause. Then, "Okay. But if you try anything, I've got a rifle pointed at the stairs. I will shoot." We holster our pistols, make sure they're visible but not drawn. Start climbing to the 4th floor, hands out, moving slowly. At the top of the stairs, a young woman emerges from a hallway holding a hunting rifle. She's maybe 20, with dark hair pulled back, wearing jeans and a university sweatshirt. She looks exhausted, terrified, and determined. "That's far enough," she says, keeping the rifle trained on us. "My name is Thaddeus," I say. "This is Kelton. We've been surviving in a SWAT vehicle, came here looking for food and water. That's it. We're not looters, not raiders, just people trying to survive." She studies us, the rifle never wavering. Then, slowly, she lowers it. "I'm Cambry. I've been hiding here since it started. Alone." Cambry, an unusual name fitting the requirements. She looks like she's been through hell, thin with dark circles under her eyes, hands shaking slightly even as she lowers the weapon. "How long have you been here?" Kelton asks. 3 weeks. I was a junior, lived in this dorm. When the outbreak happened, I barricaded myself in my room. Everyone else ran or or turned. I've been living off the vending machines and whatever I could scavenge from other rooms. 3 weeks alone. The isolation must have been crushing. Why didn't you try to leave? I ask. Leave to where? The city is full of those things. I can see them from my window wandering the streets. I figured I was safer here, waiting for rescue. She laughs bitterly. Still waiting. Rescue isn't coming, I say gently. The government collapsed. There's no help, no safe zones, no rescue. It's just us now. The words hit her hard. I can see the hope dying in her eyes, replaced by something harder. Acceptance. Then what do we do? She asks. We're leaving the city, Kelton says. Heading west, trying to reach the countryside. You can come with us if you want. We've got an armored vehicle, supplies, weapons. Better odds than staying here alone. She considers this, looking between us. Can I trust you? Probably not, I say honestly. We're strangers. You don't know us. But we haven't hurt you, haven't threatened you. We're offering you a chance. Take it or don't. Cambry lowers the rifle completely, safe the weapon. I'll come. Give me 10 minutes to pack my stuff. She disappears into a room down the hall. Kelton looks at me, eyebrows raised. 3 of us now, and the food and water situation gets tighter. I know. But she has a rifle and knows how to use it. That's worth the cost. Cambry emerges 8 minutes later with a hiking backpack, the rifle slung over her shoulder, and a determined expression. I'm ready. We head back down to the Bearcat, our 3-person group now carrying enough supplies to feed us for 3 weeks if we're careful. I'm doing the math constantly, more mouths to feed, but also more hands, more skills, better odds in a fight. The environmental science building is our last stop. I navigate the Bearcat across campus, avoiding the worst of the debris and infected. The building is modern, all glass and steel, with solar panels on the roof and LEED-certified plaques on the walls. The water purification lab is on the 2nd floor. I remember installing the security system, biometric scanners, heavy locks, expensive equipment inside. Getting in won't be easy. We park and approach the building. The front entrance is locked but not barricaded. Through the glass, I can see the lobby is clear, no infected visible, no signs of recent activity. My lockpicks work on the front door, and we're inside, moving cautiously. The building has that eerie emptiness of a place abandoned mid-activity. Papers scattered on desks, computers left on screensavers, a coffee mug still sitting on a table. The stairwell to the 2nd floor is clear. We climb in silence, weapons ready. The water purification lab is at the end of a hallway, marked with official-looking signs about authorized access only. The door is indeed biometric, a fingerprint scanner that's dead from the power outage. But there's also a manual override, a backup key lock for emergencies. I work on it while Kelton and Cambry watch the hallway. The lock is complex, 5 pins instead of the usual 4. But I've handled worse. 3 minutes of careful work, and it clicks open. The lab reveals itself. Benches covered in scientific equipment, beakers and tubes and filters, a massive purification system against one wall, and bottles. Cases of purified water in sealed containers ready for testing or distribution or whatever academic purpose they served. We hit the motherlode. How much can we carry? Cambry asks. All of it, I say. We'll make multiple trips if we have to. This water is survival. We load up, carrying cases down to the Bearcat, making 3 trips total. By the end, we have 50 gallons of purified water, enough for months if we ration it properly. Plus, we find water purification tablets, chemical treatment supplies, and a portable purification system that might work without electricity. The sun is setting by the time we finish. We've been at the university for 8 hours. Far longer than planned, but the haul is incredible. Food, water, ammunition, and an extra person who might help us survive. As we drive back to the parking garage, Cambry sits in the back with Kelton, looking out the gun ports at the ruined city. I thought help would come, she says quietly. I thought the military would fix this, or the CDC, or someone. I kept waiting and waiting. We all waited, I tell her. Now we stop waiting and start moving. Tomorrow we're leaving the city for good. We head west, find somewhere rural, somewhere we can defend, somewhere to rebuild. Do you think there is anywhere like that? She asks. There has to be, I say. Because if there isn't, then we're fighting for nothing. And I refuse to accept that. Back in the parking garage, we inventory the day's haul. The numbers are staggering. Food added approximately 40,000 calories from the dormitory raid. Water added 50 gallons of purified water. Ammunition added 375 rounds across multiple calibers. Personnel added Cambry with rifle skills and survival experience. Our timeline just expanded from 9 days to potentially 3 months, assuming we can continue scavenging along the way. We celebrate with a full MRE each, hot food heated properly, eaten without strict rationing. It feels like luxury, like hope. 3 survivors in an armored vehicle planning impossible escapes, believing we might actually make it. Day 24 ends with Cambry asking if she can take first watch. She says she hasn't felt safe enough to sleep properly in 3 weeks, but surrounded by people with weapons and an armored vehicle, she might actually rest. We agree. Kelton and I settle into the back, using the tactical vests as pillows, emergency blankets as covers. Before sleep takes me, I update my journal. Day 24, University raid successful. Added 3rd survivor. Cambry, 20, junior, rifle skills. Supplies now sufficient for long-term survival attempt. Tomorrow, we leave the city. Tomorrow, we try for real freedom. I dream of open highways and empty countryside, of safety that might actually exist. For the first time in weeks, the nightmares stay away. Day 25. Dawn breaks cold and clear, the kind of perfect autumn morning that used to mean football games and pumpkin spice everything. Now, it just means we can see the infected clearly as they wander the streets below. We're packed and ready by 0700 hours. Every available space in the Bearcat is filled with supplies, water jugs secured with bungee cords, food stashed in every compartment, ammunition distributed between the 3 of us for quick access. The fuel tank is still at quarter. The 3 gallons in the gas can our only reserve. Last chance to change our minds, I say, hands on the steering wheel. Once we leave this garage, we're committed. No turning back. There's nothing to go back to, Cambry says from the passenger seat. She's claimed that position, and neither Kelton nor I argued. Having someone with rifle skills watching forward makes tactical sense. Kelton is in the back, the rifle we grabbed from the police station across his lap. West on I-89, he confirms. We should be able to reach the initial gridlock in 15 minutes. After that, it's improvisation. I start the engine, listen to it rumble steadily. Kelton's maintenance work continues to pay dividends. The Bearcat sounds healthy, strong, ready for whatever we're about to face. We roll down the parking garage ramps for the last time. The 3rd floor corner that's been my home for 3 weeks disappears in the rearview mirror. I feel a pang of loss. Ridiculous as it is, that corner represented safety, the known quantity. Now we're heading into uncertainty. The city streets are more crowded with infected than I've ever seen. They cluster in groups now, exhibiting some kind of pack behavior. I count 30 visible from the Bearcat's windows, and those are just the ones on this block. They're organizing, Cambry observes. Look at how they move together. That's not random. She's right. The infected are hunting in coordinated groups, surrounding obstacles, working together in ways that seem impossible for mindless corpses. Evolution, adaptation, or something worse, I don't know. I just know we need to get out of this city before they evolve further. I navigate toward the highway on-ramp, following the route Kelton mapped out. Main Street to the interchange, then straight west. Simple in theory. In practice, every block reveals new horrors. A group of infected has surrounded a delivery truck, rocking it methodically. Someone's inside. I can see movement through the windshield. They're trying to tip the whole vehicle over. Should we help? Kelton asks. I want to say yes. Every fiber of my humanity screams to help, to save whoever's trapped in that truck. But we have limited ammunition, limited fuel, limited time. Stopping means risk, means potentially dying ourselves. No, I say, hating myself for it. We can't save everyone. We have to keep moving. Cambry doesn't argue, which somehow makes it worse. We drive past the truck, and I don't look at the rearview mirror. Don't want to see what happens when the infected finally tip it over. The highway on-ramp appears ahead, and my worst fears are confirmed. The gridlock is massive. Cars packed bumper to bumper, extending as far as I can see. Some are abandoned, doors hanging open. Others are occupied by desiccated corpses or infected too weak or damaged to break free. We're not getting through that in the vehicle, Kelton says. The shoulder, I point. We can drive on the shoulder, push through obstacles. The Bearcat can handle it. I steer onto the highway shoulder, and immediately we're in a different kind of hell. The shoulder is littered with debris, suitcases, furniture, personal belongings that people threw from their vehicles trying to lighten the load. The Bearcat's heavy tires crush through all of it, reducing someone's entire life to roadside trash. We make slow progress, maybe 5 miles per hour. Infected notice us and start converging. I press the accelerator, but there's only so fast we can go without risking damage to the vehicle. A mile onto the highway, we encounter our first major obstacle. A semi-truck has jackknifed across the shoulder and part of the main lanes, completely blocking our path. Behind it, the gridlock continues unbroken. Dead end, Cambry says. No. Look. Kelton points to the right, where the highway shoulder drops off into a grass embankment. We can go off-road, circle around the blockage through that field. The embankment is steep, maybe 30 degrees. The Bearcat is heavy, well-balanced, but rolling it would be fatal. Still, staying on the highway means turning back, and I'm not ready to give up yet. Everyone hold on, I warn, then steer right, taking us off the highway. The Bearcat tilts alarmingly as we descend the embankment. Gravity pulls at us, threatening to tip the vehicle. I keep the wheels straight, let momentum carry us down. We hit the field at the bottom with a jarring impact that rattles my teeth. But we're down. And ahead, the field is relatively clear, overgrown grass, some scattered trees, no major obstacles. I accelerate, the Bearcat's all-terrain capabilities finally showing their worth. We're off-roading through what used to be farmland, paralleling the highway from 100 yards away. The infected on the highway notice us, start moving toward us, but they're slow, too far away to be a threat. We're making better time now, 15 miles per hour through open terrain. How's the fuel? Cambry asks. I check the gauge. Down to 1/8 of a tank, maybe 20 miles left. We've only gone 5 miles from the city. We're not going to make it very far. She's stating facts, not complaining, but it still stings. We escaped the city, we've got supplies and weapons, but we're about to be stranded in the middle of nowhere with no transportation. There, Kelton points ahead. Farm buildings, barn, house, silo. We can hole up there, figure out our next move. The farm appears through the morning haze. A classic rural setup with a white farmhouse, red barn, grain silos, and several outbuildings. From this distance, it looks abandoned but intact. No visible infected, no signs of recent activity. I steer toward it, crossing a fallow field that crunches under our tires. The Bearcat climbs a small rise, and the farm comes into full view. The property is surrounded by a wooden fence that's seen better days, but it's still standing. Defensible, maybe. We approach slowly, watching for movement. Nothing. The farm is silent, except for wind rustling through overgrown crops in a distant field. I park the Bearcat in the barn shadow. Kill the engine. The sudden silence is oppressive after hours of diesel rumble. We sit for a moment, listening, watching. I don't like this, Cambry says. It's too quiet. Quiet might be good, Kelton counters. Quiet might mean no infected. Or it might mean they're waiting. Hiding. She's paranoid. But paranoia keeps you alive. We exit the Bearcat carefully, weapons ready. I take the shotgun, Cambry has her hunting rifle, Kelton carries the police station rifle with a full magazine. The barn is first. Kelton and I approach while Cambry covers us from the Bearcat. The barn door is closed but not locked, sliding open on rusty tracks with a screech that makes us all wince. Inside, the barn is dark and musty. Farm equipment sits idle, a tractor, plows, tools hanging on the walls, hay bales stacked in the loft. No infected, no bodies, no signs of violence. Just an abandoned farm, frozen in time. Clear, I call to Cambry. We move to the farmhouse next. The front door's locked, a good sign, suggesting whoever lived here had time to secure their home. I pick the lock, muscle memory making it quick work. The interior is pristine. Actually pristine like the residents just stepped out. Dishes in the sink, a newspaper on the kitchen table dated 3 weeks ago, mail stacked neatly on a counter. It's eerie, this normalcy in the midst of apocalypse. Upstairs, Kelton says, gesturing to a stairway. We clear the second floor room by room. 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. Family photos on the walls. An older couple, maybe in their 60s, smiling at weddings and graduations and holidays. No sign of them now. The master bedroom has a gun safe in the closet. I examine it, electronic lock, dead from no power, but also a manual key override. Of course there is. Every lock has a weakness. Can you open it? Cambry asks. Give me 10 minutes. She and Kelton keep watch while I work. This lock is more sophisticated than most residential safes, but I've cracked hundreds of these over my career. People lock themselves out, lose combinations, need access to their own property. This is what I do. The lock clicks on my 9th minute. Inside the safe, a pump-action shotgun, 2 hunting rifles, a revolver, and, blessed miracle, ammunition. Boxes of it, organized by caliber, hundreds of rounds. We just tripled our ammunition supply, I announce. The farmhouse basement yields more treasures, canned food, jars of preserves, cases of bottled water. The owners were preppers, or at least prepared. There's enough supplies here to last 3 people months. We spend the afternoon fortifying. Kelton uses lumber from the barn to reinforce the farmhouse doors and windows. Cambry sets up observation posts with clear sight lines. I inventory everything we've found, making lists, planning rationing schedules. By nightfall, we've transformed the farm into a defensible position. The Bearcat sits in the barn, hidden from aerial view. The farmhouse is secured, windows covered, entrances reinforced. We've got food, water, weapons, and shelter. For the first time since the outbreak, I feel something like safety. We eat dinner together in the farmhouse kitchen, canned stew heated on a camping stove we found in the basement, with fresh water and even some preserved fruit for dessert. It's the best meal I've had in a month. We should stay here, Cambry says. Why keep running? We've got everything we need. For how long? Kelton asks. The supplies will run out eventually, and winter's coming. This farmhouse isn't winterized without power. So we scavenge from other farms. There's got to be a dozen properties within walking distance. We could build a real community here, a sustainable one. I consider her words. The idea is tempting. Stop running, build something permanent, try to create normalcy. But something feels wrong. The farm is too perfect, too pristine. Where are the owners? Why did they leave? Or if they didn't leave, where are the bodies? We'll stay for a few days, I decide. Rest, regroup, scout the area. But we keep the Bearcat fueled and ready. If this place goes south, we need an exit strategy. Cambry doesn't argue, but I can see the disappointment in her eyes. She wants roots, stability, safety. So do I. But survival might mean staying mobile, and I won't let hope blind us to danger. That night, we establish a watch rotation, 2 hours each, cycling through the night. I take the first watch, sitting in the farmhouse living room with a view of both the driveway and the barn. The countryside at night is different from the city, darker with no ambient light from street lamps or buildings. The stars are incredible, a blanket of light that I'd forgotten existed. I can see the Milky Way, constellations I haven't thought about since childhood camping trips with my dad. Dad would know what to do. He survived war zones, hostile territories, combat situations I can't imagine. He'd have a plan, a strategy, a way forward, but he's gone. And I'm alone, except for 2 near strangers I'm trying to keep alive. Movement in the darkness. My hand goes to the shotgun before my brain processes what I'm seeing. A deer. Just a deer. Crossing the field beyond the fence. It stops, looks toward the farmhouse, then continues on its way. Life. Real life, untouched by the infection. It's a reminder that the world is bigger than humanity's collapse, that nature continues regardless of our apocalypse. At 200 hours, I wake Kelton for his watch. Exchange brief words, all clear, no movement, quiet night. Then, I crawl into one of the bedrooms, using a real mattress for the first time in weeks, and sleep dreamlessly until dawn. Day 26 begins with the smell of coffee. Real coffee, brewed from grounds we found in the farmhouse pantry, heated with the camping stove. Cambry made it, and the simple gesture feels like civilization returning. "We should scout the neighboring farms today," she says over breakfast. "See what's out there, whether there are other survivors, what supplies we might access." "Agreed," I say, "but carefully." We go in pairs, stay in visual contact, check in every 15 minutes. We split up. Cambry and I take the north properties. Kelton stays to continue fortifying the farmhouse and maintain the Bearcat. We're armed heavily. Cambry with her rifle, me with the shotgun, and both pistols. The nearest farm is half a mile north, visible across open fields. We walk, keeping to the tree line for cover, scanning constantly for threats. The morning is crisp, beautiful, deceptively peaceful. The neighboring farm is smaller than ours, just a house and a garage. The front door is open, swinging slightly in the wind. Bad sign. We approach cautiously. Cambry covers while I clear the interior. Inside is carnage. Blood splattered across the walls, furniture overturned, clear signs of violence. But no bodies, no infected. Whatever happened here, it happened weeks ago. The kitchen has been looted, cabinets hanging open, empty. But the garage yields results. A red plastic gas can, full, 5 gallons of fuel. I grab at triumph. 5 more gallons means 75 more miles of range for the Bearcat. "Movement," Cambry hisses from the doorway. 3 o'clock, 100 yards. I look where she's pointing. 4 infected shambling across the field toward us. Slow ones, manageable, but still a threat. We run, I decide. No point wasting ammunition on them. We sprint back toward our farm, the gas can bouncing against my leg. The infected try to follow but can't match our speed. We're back at the farmhouse in minutes, breathing hard but safe. Kelton has news when we return. "I found something in the barn, a ham radio setup, professional grade. It's hooked to a car battery that's probably dead, but if I can charge it, we might be able to communicate. Find other survivors, figure out what's happening beyond our immediate area." A radio. Communication with the outside world, or whatever's left of it. The possibility sends adrenaline through my system. "Can you get it working?" I ask. "Maybe. I need to rig up a charging system. The farmhouse has solar panels on the roof, probably dead controllers, but I might be able to bypass them, run direct power to the battery." "How long?" 2 days if everything goes right. Longer if I run into problems." "Do it," I say. Communication is worth the time investment. Cambry dumps her scavenging finds, canned goods from another farm, batteries, first aid supplies. There's 4 more properties within a mile, all abandoned, some looted, but there's still usable supplies scattered around. We could clean them out over the next few days. We settle into a routine. Days 26 through 30 blur together, scavenging neighboring farms, fortifying our position, maintaining the Bearcat, working on the radio. It's almost domestic, almost normal. We find more survivors on day 28, or rather, they find us. I'm working in the barn when I hear the Bearcat's horn, our alarm signal. I grab the shotgun, run outside. Cambria's in the farmhouse observation post, pointing toward the dirt road that leads to the main highway. 3 people approaching on foot, 2 men, 1 woman, all carrying packs. They look exhausted, desperate, but also alert. Survivors who've been through hell and learned from it. They stop 50 yards from the property line, hands visible, clearly trying not to appear threatening. One of them, a tall man with a graying beard, calls out, "Hello, the farm? We're peaceful, just passing through. Wondering if you could spare some water." I approach with Cambry covering me from the house, Kelton watching from the barn. "Who are you?" I call back. "Thurlow," the bearded man says. "This is Mercer and Adelphia. We've been walking for 2 weeks, came from the city, looking for somewhere safe, somewhere to rebuild." Thurlow, Mercer, Adelphia, good names, uncommon, fitting the requirements. They look genuine, dirty, tired, but not aggressive. Still, I've learned caution. "You can have water," I say, "but you approach one at a time, slowly, and my people stay armed. Understood?" "Understood." "Thank you." Thurlow approaches first, hands up, moving carefully. I meet him at the fence, hand over a bottle of water through the slats. He drinks gratefully, then passes it to his companions. "You're welcome to rest here for the night," I offer. "We've got a barn with some space, but we'll need to search your packs, make sure you're not carrying anything dangerous." "Fair," Thurlow agrees. "We'd do the same in your position." We let them in, search their belongings, and finding only supplies and personal items, nothing threatening. They're genuine survivors, not raiders or threats, and their information is valuable. Over dinner, we share our supplies, a gesture of goodwill. They tell us about their journey from the city. They confirm what we suspected. The outbreak spread nationwide, maybe worldwide. Communication infrastructure collapsed. Government is gone, military scattered or destroyed. Humanity is fractured into isolated pockets of survivors. "The cities are death traps now," Mercer says. He's younger, maybe 30s, with sharp eyes that miss nothing. The infected own them. Anyone still alive there is hiding, starving, doomed. Rural areas are better, more space, fewer infected, but coordination is impossible. Everyone's on their own. "Have you seen any organized resistance?" Kelton asks. "Military holdouts, government safe zones, anything?" Adelphia shakes her head. She's quiet, speaks rarely, but when she does, people listen. "Nothing. We heard radio broadcasts for the first week, military declaring martial law, ordering people to shelter in place. Then silence. Whatever command structure existed collapsed completely. This confirms our worst fears and validates our decisions. Leaving the city was right. Finding rural shelter was right. We're on our own, and that's not changing." "Where are you headed?" I ask them. "North," Thurlow says. "Canada, maybe. We heard rumors of communities in the wilderness, people organizing, rebuilding. Might be bullshit, but it's something to aim for." "Canada is 1,000 miles from here," Cambry points out. "We got time, nowhere else to be." They leave the next morning, restocked with supplies and water, armed with information we've shared about the route north. I watch them walk away, 3 more survivors trying to find their place in a broken world. "Should we have invited them to stay?" Cambry asks. "No," I say. 3 is sustainable, 6 is a crowd. We're not ready to build a community yet. Maybe never will be. The radio comes to life on day 30. Kelton whoops in triumph as static crackles from the speakers, proof that the system works. He adjusts frequencies, scanning through channels. Most are silent. A few carry automated emergency broadcasts, looping the same warnings and instructions from weeks ago. But then, on a frequency in the upper bands, we hear it. A human voice. Repeating, "This is Sanctuary calling. We're a survivor community in the Blue Ridge Mountains, coordinates 38.5 north, 79.8 west. We have shelter, food, water purification, medical supplies. All survivors welcome. Repeat, this is Sanctuary." The message loops. We listen 3 times, hardly breathing. A community. Organized, supplied, offering shelter. It might be a trap, might be lies, but it's also hope. I pull out the map, trace coordinates. Blue Ridge Mountains, I do quick math. 400 miles southwest. 400 miles, Kelton repeats. We've got maybe 60 miles of fuel left, even with the gas we scavenged. So we scavenge more. Siphon from abandoned vehicles, raid gas stations, whatever it takes. 400 miles is doable. If it's real, Cambry says, if it's not a trap. If it's not real, we keep looking, but we have to try. This farm is good for short term, but winter's coming. We need something permanent, something with more people, more resources. This might be it. We spend the next 3 days preparing, scavenging every drop of fuel we can find from the neighboring properties, loading the Bearcat with everything useful, deciding what to take, what to leave behind. On the evening of day 33, we're packed and ready. The Bearcat is loaded to capacity. Food, water, weapons, medical supplies, tools, fuel cans strapped to the exterior. We've siphoned gas from a dozen abandoned vehicles, collected 40 gallons total. Combined with the Bearcat's tank, we have maybe 200 miles of range. Not enough to reach Sanctuary directly, but enough to get us farther from the dead cities, deeper into rural territory where survival is possible. We leave the farmhouse at dawn on day 34. I take one last look at the property that sheltered us for 9 days. It's probably the closest thing to safety we'll find, but safety without purpose is just slow dying. The Bearcat rolls down the dirt road, onto cracked pavement, heading southwest, toward mountains we can't see yet, toward a community that might not exist, toward hope that might be false. But we're moving forward, still alive, still fighting. The highway stretches ahead, empty and broken. Infected shamble in the distance, but they're scattered, avoidable. The countryside is different from the city. More space, more options, more chances to survive. "How far today?" Cambry asks from her passenger seat position. 50 miles if we can manage it, I say. Then we find shelter, scavenge for more fuel, push on tomorrow. And if we don't make it to Sanctuary, then we find somewhere else. We keep looking until we find people, community, civilization. Or we build it ourselves. Kelton leans forward from the back. You really think we can rebuild? That humanity has a future after this? I think about the question as I navigate around an abandoned minivan. Think about the survivors we've met, the supplies we've found, the fact that we're still breathing after 5 weeks of apocalypse. Yeah, I say finally. I think we can rebuild. We're survivors, all of us. We've made it this far against impossible odds, and if there's one thing I've learned from all this, it's that humans are persistent bastards. We don't give up easy. The road curves ahead, leading into tree-covered hills. The morning sun breaks through the clouds, illuminating the autumn colors, reds and oranges and golds that have nothing to do with fire or destruction. Beautiful. The world is still beautiful, even in its dying. We drive on, 3 survivors in a stolen SWAT vehicle, chasing hope across broken highways. The fuel gauge drops steadily, the miles accumulate, and somewhere ahead, maybe 400 miles, maybe 4,000, there's a future worth fighting for. Day 34. Still alive, still moving forward, always forward, never back. The story continues, but for now, this is enough. This is survival. This is hope. This is how the world doesn't end, with a bang or a whimper, but with the steady rumble of a diesel engine carrying the last remnants of humanity toward whatever comes next.